Referee today is nobody's favourite, Mike Dean.
Ooh, boo!
Just, we're live on air. I'm not going to say anything.
I was going to do
it.
He's
going. Every time.
The final whistle has blown at Craven Cottage. The match has ended. Fulham 0, West Ham United 0. But the ramifications for West Ham, well, after what we've seen today, not only as we've seen Thomas Souček get sent off in the most ridiculous fashion for an elbow, for an incident which clearly wasn't malicious in any way. It's absolute appalling, disgraceful play acting by Mitrovic, a big 6'4" striker who's just gone to the ground to cheat, basically, in order to get a fellow professional player sent off the pitch. And it's absolutely appalling. It's quite disgraceful. Of course, before that, we saw Michail Antonio, West Ham's only recognised striker, leave the pitch, clutching his hamstring and almost certainly facing a few weeks out. West Ham now looking at the prospect of going to Old Trafford for the 5th round FA Cup tie against Manchester United without Michail Antonio, without Thomas Souček, without on loan Jesse Lingard. Pinky, where do you start after that?
Well, I think you've got to start right at the end. Firstly, Mitrovic, shameful play acting by him. He'd been on the field himself, 10 minutes, a little more than that. And his manager brought him on to have an impact at the other end of the pitch. He's shocking play acting that has made an innocuous challenge seem far worse than it ever was. We then have the farce of the idiots in Stockley Park, unable to make a decision despite reviewing the footage numerous times. They send the message out for the ref to have a look at the screen by the side of the pitch, who just decides, oh, that's a red card. When in real time, he was looking at that in real time, and he wasn't going to give a red card. So what are we actually doing here, with the game? And for my money, that kind of sport a moment there, because ultimately it was a West Ham free kick. Our concentration has been clearly broken. The fact that we got to take the free kick again, after Souček's being sent off, is neither here nor there. We've missed a good opportunity right at the end because of Mitrovic's play acting. Up until then, in fairness, we'd done nothing to win the game. Let's not use this incident as an excuse for why we haven't got 3 points. We had 89, 90 other minutes in which to do something, and we did nothing. For what it's worth, I think Park has done a bit of a job on us tonight. He's made sure they were very difficult to break down. They worked very hard at Fulham, and on a foul night, I have to say, we just didn't seem up for it at all. We didn't want it. And as good as we were against Aston Villa midweek, we were poor tonight. Jesse Lingard barely featured this evening. Ben Rama, by his standards, and he was a player who's been recently winning me over. Tonight, he didn't do an awful lot. Bowen, upon his return to the team, didn't do an awful lot. We created nothing of note this evening. I wouldn't say we're lucky to get a point because I don't think Fulham are any better than us, but it's the classic game where actually maybe each team should be deducted points just for being so bad on the evening. You consider what was on offer, the chance to go into the top 4, because I would take on current form City to beat Man City to beat Liverpool tomorrow. The real prize for our players tonight was getting that top 4, then go to Old Trafford in good heart, front foot, and have Man United looking at us going, we've got a real game Tuesday night. Instead, what we're going to have is a depleted West Ham United team. No Michail Antonio, for sure. No Thomas Souček, for sure. And dare I say it, we might have a manager now who's of a mindset on Tuesday going, do you know what? it was going to be tough beforehand. It's now looking like mission impossible, and he might actually rest one or two players for that game. I hope he doesn't, but he's just running out of bodies. You know, he's got to look to next weekend and he's going, can I get 11 decent players on the pitch? And 2 injuries on Tuesday night, and he might struggle to do that. So overall, disappointing evening. It's a shame that's what's happened to Souček there, because that was never, ever, ever a red card. Never.
Never in a million years, says Pinky. Rio, it's finished Fulham 0, West Ham United 0. Of course, you know, as I said a few moments ago, the ramifications for West Ham go far beyond the fact that we've probably dropped 2 points here this evening. But what's your overall assessment of what you've just seen?
In terms of a team performance, it was. We've got 2 West Hams at the moment. We've got a weekend West Ham who look tired, devoid of ideas, can't cope with the opposition's tactics. There's 2 weeks running that teams have pressed us hard, and we just not cope with it at all. Then we've got the midweek West Ham who look full of attacking verve, look crisp in our passing, full of movement, full of energy, and full of goals. There's no happy balance. Today's performance, I can't really add anything more than Pinky just put, but not only was it disappointing in terms of how we approached the game, but how we failed to deal with what is a pretty poor Fulham side, you know? They've got nothing really other than a midfield full of work rate and running. Apart from that, they offer nothing. And yet we couldn't cope with it. And we could have played for all day. We wouldn't have scored a goal. We just looked devoid of ideas, devoid of energy. It looked like a completely different side from the one that took the pitch at Villa Park on Wednesday. So in terms of team performance, it was bitterly disappointing. And the events that have occurred, our only forward leaving the pitch with a hamstring he just knew was going to go at some point. It picked a day because it was his turn. We've now got no attacking options hardly available on the books. Yarmolenko can do it for Ukraine, but can't do it for the club. We've got an untested young player who's got full of promise. How many times do we see young promising players make the step up to Premier League football and not be able to make an impact? And we're relying on a young kid now to try and nurse us through a season. Look of it. I've just looked up the stats as well. Thomas Souček, for a big, imposing central midfielder who puts himself about a bit, it's his first ever career red card.
Wow.
And the way that has come about, he's clearly putting his arm up to try and manoeuvre around Mitrovic. Accidental clash with the elbow. Mitrovic has gone down like, I could say something incredibly unpolitically correct, but I'll refrain. He's gone down like someone has poleaxed him, and he just made an absolute meal of it. But who's the referee? Who's going to buy it? He's watched it back about 15 times, and he still feels that's intentional. Now, that is an absolute joke. And that sums up the state of English refereeing nowadays.
Rio, on that, and talking about Mike Dean and the red card, is there pressure placed on referees once VAR urges them to review a decision or a situation like that? Are we putting them under undue pressure? Because I the way I look at it, I'm thinking now, the reason that Mike Dean looked at that so many times, is it because he's looked at it and he's thought, first of all, the first few times he's looked at it, there's nothing obvious. So he's looked at it again and again and again. But I'm wondering if he's got to the point where he's thought, well, they've referred this to me, so they're urging that they obviously they're leading me to make a call here, which is the red card. And do you feel that, you know, that as I say, go back to what I say, is that why he's done it, or is this just because it's Mike Dean?
That's shame. I think it's both, to be honest.
Right.
Mike Dean always wants to be the centre of attention. He likes to make a statement of some sort. What I think needs to happen, if VAR, which is, I keep on banging about it is killing the game. If you're not trying to disallow goals because someone's sleeves are fraction offside, you're getting joke decisions like that. If it's still going to be implemented and still a part of football before it actually destroys the game completely, what we need in the next step is to hear the link between Stockley Park and the referee.
Here.
So you can hear why Stockley Park have actually referred it and why the referee is making the decision. You need to hear that conversation. You hear it in cricket, you hear it in rugby. Why can't you hear it in football? Because there is no logical explanation to actually make that a red. No logical explanation. Well, you watch the footage back. It is completely accidental.
Yeah.
That was not the look of a man who just stuck an elbow in someone. I thought, get down, you sod. He's done it. I think, oh my God, I've just clipped him. That's it. And it's just another absolute joke of a decision. And as you rightly say, our season now has gone from full of optimism, full of overachievement, full of excitement. We're now one more injury away from Armageddon.
Yeah, we are. We are. It's amazing, isn't it? How quickly it goes from being hugely optimistic, to the end of the world, basically. But there it is. There it is. Gnome. Can we now put Mike Dean in the same area as Keith Hackett? Was it that bad?
Oh, he's gone well beyond Keith Hackett. Keith Hackett's only stitched us up once. Every game you see Mike Dean on the telly, you can guarantee there'll be. It was, you know, It's one of the things where Sky, because they've got another match, aren't going to hang around to talk to the managers or anything. But they had a Jamie Redknapp and Bobby Zamora in there. And Jamie Redknapp, who's not always beloved of us sort of thing, came out with, you know, if Mike Dean genuinely thinks that that's a red card, I am really, really worried that he's refereeing. Yet again, it's the Mike Dean show, they've said, you know. And these are like, getting some form of opinion like that out of pundits on telly after time is like pulling hen's teeth. You know, nobody will actually turn up and say, you know, oh, it's Mike Dean. You know, really, he's not a very good ref. We ought to be doing something about it. So when they actually say things like that, you know it's bad. You know it's bad. You know, it's like, you know, it's not a new thing. I mean, I'm just looking up comments on the BBC thread. You know, once again, it's the Mike Dean show. He'd drink his own bathwater, that man. Shocking to see. He loves controversy in the limelight. That's Mark of Manchester, so presumably a City fan. You know, I mean, the good thing is that as long as the club does the right thing and appeals that, I can't see Souček getting a ban for that.
You can't. You think they'll overturn it?
Oh,
even though it's clear contact with an elbow.
Yeah, but it's not deliberate. I mean, you know, if somebody runs into your elbow,
get that.
And Mick, yeah, it might have brushed his nose, sort of thing. It certainly wasn't a hands in face going down like a sack of spuds thing. That, you know, if they don't appeal that, then really somebody ought to be shot at the club. But that should be appealed, and if they, you know, I mean, that would be his second red card in a row appealed. And I think I haven't got the stats, but you know, I've got memories of lots of red cards being appealed. Was it Faguli? That ridiculous one he gave against us.
Manu, not the
it's Manu, and that at the time I think that was his third or fourth that season. So you know, it just goes down. I mean, you know, VR's killing football. No, it's Mike Dean, right? You know the laws of the game. Well, either you know them or you don't. If you know the laws of the game, apply them. If you know the laws of the game, you look at that and you say that's not violent conduct. If you know the laws of the game and you still give that decision, then you're deliberately getting something wrong for whatever personal reasons you've got. He does it time and time again, all his career, and I've said, not saying this for a minute, but I've said this before. If you wanted a referee to create the perfect ground for these mythical Southeast Asian betting syndicates to fiddle games, you've got the ideal referee, because nobody turned around to him when he started out and say, you can't do that, just give decisions for the sake of it. So now he can do that and it's wrong. He can do that red card in midweek and it's wrong. And nobody, there's no punishment for it. Nobody turns around and says, it's Mike Dean. So, I guarantee where they've had problems with this sort of thing in the past, if you had referees doing that week in, week out in Italy, people would be crawling over their bank accounts to see, why they've given decisions. So why do we think we're immune from it? That's how bad he is.
Listen,
how long have we been saying this for? 30 years?
Well, I've just seen Jacob Steinberg, who is one of us, a West Ham fan, and of course, a former writer at KUMB.com, reference the Lee Bowyer incident, where I think it was Bergkamp, was it not, who elbowed Bowyer just before they scored. That's years ago.
That was. I think it was our first encounter with Mike Dean, and one of our early ones. And he had a complete. That was the one where he had Pires dived when running away from goal in the penalty area with Steve Lomas, the nearest player, and he decided that a player running towards the corner flag away from goal, that A, it was a penalty, which it wasn't, and B, it was a red card because he was denying a goal scoring opportunity. And that was the same game. Yeah. And it was purely, I don't care what Lord's game. I want to give a penalty. I feel like a penalty now. I'll give it,
And how are we to know he would be around for this long, still haunting us all these years later? Listen,
look at midweek. Look at midweek. He's done that thing where Marshall's virtually horizontal. Yeah. And he still looked at it. And he wanted it one last. I mean, that's the other annoying thing. He wanted one last look at it and the picture froze. So he gave it anyway.
Yeah.
And, somebody does that. They should be looking at that and thought, well, he's got that wrong. They know it's official he's got it wrong because they turned around and said the red card was never a red card.
Yeah.
So Bednarek was able to play it today and get another own goal. So hang on a second. Well, okay, if a referee's got something that badly wrong, shouldn't he be thinking about should he be officiating this weekend? Yeah. He's got something so badly wrong. Shouldn't he have a one-match ban? I mean, if somebody had said that, put their foot down at the start of his career, we wouldn't be having this conversation now. But he's fireproof. He's allowed to do what he wants.
Listen, we're probably not feeling like laughing, but I've just got to mention this tweet that I've just seen. Specsavers have just posted a tweet on their feed that says simply, Premier League, we're here if you need us. There you go. Pinky.
The bottomies are us, I think, are needed more than Specsavers.
Mr. Palermo, we are, of course, furious at what we've just seen from Mike Dean, and rightly so. I don't think anyone in their right mind, bar the referee or the fools that stopped.
Do you think I gave that impression? I thought I was a bit restrained myself.
Well, I thought you did well in the circumstances, yeah.
Really,
I'm just slightly worried, though, Pinky. Are we sort of glossing over what was a really awful performance from West Ham here this afternoon? I mean, look at the stats. Fulham 20 shots at West Ham's defence, only 2 on target. West Ham only managing to produce 8 shots at goal and only 1 on target. I mean, Dean was awful, but so were West Ham today, weren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the red card is more about what might happen midweek. If it's not overturned, we've got no Souček. It wasn't material to tonight's outcome. Tonight's outcome was actually, from the get-go, we weren't at it. We weren't at it at all. The contrast with the game against Villa couldn't be starker. And I can't think of a single area of the pitch tonight where we were dominant. I don't think we were good in attack. I don't think we were particularly good in defence. the fact that the opposition get 20 shots, I'm not really interested that they're off target. It's the fact they've had 20 shots that they could, unleash. Tells me we're not working hard enough to close them down. And better teams than Fulham. If we're playing a better team than Fulham, who've got 20 shots off, bet your bottom dollar 1 or 2 of them would have been on target, and maybe 1 or 2 of them would go in goal. So really poor from us tonight. I don't know whether it's the players half an eye on Tuesday, whether the fact it was just an awful night in West London, or whether it's just, Fulham worked a little bit harder, did just enough to see us off. And maybe in our minds, it's only Fulham lads, that kind of mentality, which would be a worry. But even when the manager made the changes, I don't think we saw sufficient impact. So a really bad evening's work for West Ham United. When you consider chance to go fourth, chance to actually have it in our own hands of finishing above last season's champions. Had we won tonight, and City beat Liverpool tomorrow, it would be in our hands to finish above them this season. That isn't necessarily going to happen now. We would have to depend on somebody else doing something against Liverpool beyond Man City. And people, I think, well, that's fanciful. We're never going to do that anyway. Well, if our attitude is we're never going to do it anyway, well, why do we bother? We've worked hard all season to get to the point where we say, do you know what? We're pushing hard for 4th, 5th, or 6th, somewhere around there. But to surrender the opportunity so meekly this evening by, in my opinion, just not working hard enough. I just don't think we worked hard enough tonight, particularly the front end of our team. I don't think the movement was there. I don't think they created the space for themselves that they did in midweek. Lingard was pretty anonymous tonight, it must be said.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he? Totally out. Not involved at all. Not
involved at all. Barely remember him getting a kick in the first half. Whereas the first half against Villa, he looked like Pele.
What a contrast.
Gerard Bowen this evening. For a player that's had a week off, well, he doesn't look like he's recovered all that much, because I don't think he did terribly much tonight. But then to see Mikel Antonio, go off with what looks very much like a hamstring injury. And the club, David Moyes undoubtedly will be making noises about we took him off as a precaution and all the rest of it. The fact of the matter is, there'll be a mental block in Mikel Antonio's head now, which is, I'm worried about that part of my body. So even if he hasn't had a minor tear in it this evening, do you think he'll give it the gun on Tuesday night if he is past fit to play? I can't see it myself. So tonight we've seen a red card for a player that was unlucky to get the red card. Let's be frank about that. We've seen our only striking option go off injured. We've seen the rest of the team put in a very, very flat performance. On the plus side, it's a point away from home. If we took a point away at the City of Manchester Stadium with that performance, we'd say, great point. We glossed over the performance. Tonight, it was a poor performance. We got a point. But is a point against a bottom 3 club going to propel you into the top 4? No, you need 3 points against a bottom 3 club. We didn't do it. We lacked that killer instinct to go for the jugular tonight and say, do you know what? It's only Fulham, lads, and let's put them to the sword. We couldn't do it. We didn't do it. And that's a real worry. That's a real worry for me.
Well, that's the point I think I was making earlier, Pinky, when I said, did we go into that game believing our publicity a bit too much, and did the players take their foot off the gas for that reason? They just thought they were better than they actually are, and they didn't have to give 100% to beat a team like Fulham.
Yeah, and possibly so. The reality is it's the Premier League, and you've got to work hard to beat any team. The game against Liverpool for us recently, How hard did Liverpool work to shut us down all over the pitch?
Yep.
Where our supporters were saying, "Oh, we're not very good tonight," you know, and all the rest of it. Yeah, we weren't very good against Liverpool because Liverpool worked like absolute Trojans to make sure we weren't very good.
Yeah.
Did we show the same application tonight against Fulham? No, we didn't. And that's the difference.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Nowhere near the same application. It was an awful performance from West Ham, and you know, Rio, one of our worst of the seasons. Before we push on Rio, we're going to take a little dive into the KUMB.com forum match thread, and oh god, that's going to be a minefield tonight. That is, isn't it? Gnome, it's your favourite part of the evening. It's time for we need a little fanfare or something for this. It's the XG stats or a little jingle or something that we need to come up with. I don't know if we've got any musical wizards, any production wizards that can knock us up a jingle for our XG section, which Gnome, who looks like he wants to kill someone right now on the stream there, looks absolutely furious. Anyway,
have a guess who. Before you go on to that, just as a point, buddy. Because we might be accused of as you said, is it, it's the fact that we've got a corrupt moron in charge on the pitch that are we glossing over the performance? My rant was because you asked me specifically about that, and rather than the performance. So if you'd asked me about the performance, I'd have gone on to that. So in my defence, but I've just been trying to wait for managerial reaction, but we've still not got anything on Sky Sports News because they've gone over. They said it'll be on there. Okay. I've got comments I've got Aaron Cresswell. Mitrovic made a bit too much of it. It's frustrating to lose Souček because he's a massive player for us. Some of the fans, actually from other clubs, have been quite amusing. I don't know who this chap. I think his name was. I've lost it now. Will Meredith was his name. Says that giving Mike Dean VAR is like giving a toddler fireworks and matches. Which it sums it up. But I can't disagree. Can't agree more. For once, with Pinky and Rio, we weren't at it today. Fulham weren't particularly great, but we weren't at it today. And if we got anything more of a point, then it would have been daylight robbery. They've Pinky and Rio have put it far more eloquently than I'm feeling like at the moment. But as I say, I just wanted to, in case I got accused of covering it up because of the.
Okay, seeing as eloquence has deserted you totally, can I do my XG stat now? Can we do that one? Because I know you're waiting with bated breath there to find out what it was. Expected goals tonight: Fulham 1.61, 20 shots at goal, not any particularly good ones, but West Ham 0.94, which is West Ham's lowest XG stat, probably going back to the game against Southampton when we drew 0-0. Way back on the, when was it, 29th of December?
Is that seasonally adjusted though?
Well, I have no idea. But
is that been adjusted for standard deviation and where does that appear on the bell curve?
Well, I don't know about bell curves, but bell curves or bell curves, but it is what it is. Anyway, it's not. I can tell you, even if you don't understand XG stats, as Gnome professes not to, but we know he does. He's an intelligent guy. It's not good.
I really have never looked it up. I saw that, and it had decimal points in it, and I just thought that's a stat too far for me. I'm not going to get involved in this one.
Well, there's your homework for this week. Go and look up what determines an XG stat, and then you can come back and. Rio, let's have a look. Let's go to the forums. Let's start with the KUMB.com forum match thread and just see what the reactions there. I know it was a little busy because I was trying to post a link to this very stream a few minutes ago, and it took about 10 minutes to process.
Yeah, forums are bundle of fun at the moment. Absolute laugh a minute. Patio Hammer. We're like the Star Trek movies. One good one followed by an absolute poor one. Kit the
No,
car.
like that.
not even that. They're all poor.
Regarding the Mike Dean decision, that's more laughable than our performance. Irons, it's West Ham and Mike Dean. Mr. Centre of Attention ruining another game. Let's get Sack Dean and Sack VAR trending on Twitter. Neath Iron, who really has summed up how I thought, to be honest. I was really hoping that Sufal, was going to stick the head on him at the end there. Let me down. Wolf 359, regarding the Sky comments after the game.
Yeah.
Zamora and Jamie Redknapp in the studio are both giving Dean and Mason absolute both barrels. Apparently, Mason referred it due to a clenched fist. Bonkers. They both need sacking. Leon Rivers. I said it after last week's performance when he analysed the VAR footage and still made a call so wrong it was overturned, that Mike Dean should never work in football again. If you are so bad at your job that despite the advantage of time and replays from many angles, you still cannot do it correctly, then you need to be stood down. As well as incompetent, I will now add weak and cowardly. It was a disgusting decision. Hopefully we can drag out an appeal long enough to have Suchek available in midweek. Gaz WHU 66. It's almost comforting to hold the old West Ham back that I know and love. The red card was a joke and I'd be amazed if it isn't rescinded in the week. The squad looking like the one that's played as much football as they have and look very tired. Once again, this will be a missed chance to a criminally bad mismanagement from Sullivan Gold & Co. Agent Hammer. Firstly, Fulham didn't deserve to lose and we didn't do enough to win. Too many games close with not enough squad numbers.
Yep.
Gold, Sullivan and Brady out. I knew D was warming up when he booked Ogbonna, then Fabianski. And he just couldn't resist sending Suchek off, despite as plain as the nose in your face, he was pulling his arm away from Mitrovic, who was trying to grab it. Mitrovic played his part by going down, clutching his face. And even when he told Dean it was not a sending off, Dean was not going to lose a chance to cause us more grief. He's now cost us 5 points this season, and each year he robs us of at least 9. Just enough to keep us away from his favourites. Lancashire Hammer 1963's put, it's a work in progress, and we must remember this is West Ham, so we'll always be capable of poor performances. Having said that, previous West Ham teams would have lost tonight, so we take the point and move on. As for Mike Dean and Lee Mason, say no more. And the last one really is Mumbles 87. He's put fair play to Fulham. If anything, they deserved more than a point. I thought we was going to nick it at the end though. It was never a red. However, we can blame Dean all we want, but it's Lee Mason who sent him over to look at it. In real time, he was happy with what he saw. So, yep, there's a lot of chat about the red card. And it's probably overshadowed the actual performance, which, let's be face it, wasn't particularly good and it wasn't pretty on the eye.
I think that, yeah, I mean, that's a very good point. I think, Rio, and as we, alluded to earlier, it was an awful performance. And in a sense that, that appalling, dreadful decision is going to detract from that. And it shouldn't really. But I mean, let's also look at it from the other part. Let's try and remain positive because, as you said there, one of the posters on the forum said that, previous West Ham teams would have lost that game tonight. And, we joked about it beforehand and spoke about, how, everything's been going so well. It'd be typical West Ham for it to go sort of belly up tonight. And it hasn't gone as bad as it could have done, could it? We do have a point. We're still 5th in the Premier League. We're a point behind Liverpool. And as Pinky has pointed out 2 or 3 times, that's quite likely to be the case by the end of play tomorrow. So things are still looking pretty positive, and it could have been a lot worse, couldn't it?
Oh, definitely, most definitely indeed. If we look at the bigger picture, with a threadbare squad, as we've mentioned time and time again, we're currently still sitting in 5th place. We've gone to a very difficult place tonight, with weather conditions and the pitch weren't the greatest. We've come away with a clean sheet, which I think is the first for about 3 or 4 games. We played incredibly poorly. I know it's not against the greatest side in the Premier League, but it's a side that worked really hard, made life difficult for us, and they overrun us in midfield. but we still come away with a point and a clean sheet. So you've got to look at that as a positive.
Yeah.
We're a lot more defensively resolute than we ever have been. I think I can't remember us being this good in defence for. Actually, I can't remember us being this good in defence probably since the 85-86 season. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
We look really solid, really organised. It's not bit feet in the West Ham that I know. You know, so that's the positives to look at.
Yeah.
There isn't a lot to take away from an attacking point of view. Obviously, the decisions and injuries can overshadow a lot of stuff as well. But yeah, on a positive note, point, clean sheet, we go again. You know.
Yeah. I mean that is. I mean, it's important to remember that, isn't it? That you know, it's not just about tonight. It's not been. It's been a dreadful day for West Ham, but you know, the overall picture is still hugely promising, isn't it, Pinky? And before we come on to that, I've just got to point out that possibly for the first and only time in my life, I've just retweeted Richard Keys, who writes the following. Who writes, Mike Dean and Lee Mason, whose brilliant idea was it to get them to work together this weekend? That's a shocking decision at Fulham. There's no way Souček meant that. There's going to be a growing list of clubs that don't want to see either of them again. So put it down in your diaries. Richard Keys, speaking sense on Twitter. Pinky, over to you.
Yeah, but let's just go back a bit. I mean, we've done the red card now.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone who's ever watched or played the game, other than Mike Dean, thinks that's a red card. So likely to be overturned. But how many saves did the Fulham keeper have to make in 90 minutes? You know, that's the bottom line.
Yeah, one.
Okay? That's the bottom line. We didn't fail to win the game because Souček was sent off. We failed to win the game because we didn't work their keeper. We didn't create enough this evening. And who'd be a manager? Because we tore Villa apart midweek with Lingard, Benrahma, Antonio, and a fullback playing wide right, you know, Ryan Fredericks. The manager makes a more positive change to the team, reintroduces Gerard Bowen. So you think, well, the manager's done, you know, he's sticking out a team, you know, that's even stronger, you know, attacking in an attacking sense than one that ripped Villa apart. And they can create nothing between them. And I just wondered tonight if this was a game whereby, you know, maybe the player that was sent off maybe should have been hooked 30 or 40 minutes sooner. And whilst it's always tempting to leave him on because he can get you something from a set piece, or even, you know, on nights when we're allowed to pour forward, he'll get a go from open play. I'm not sure his passing range is sufficiently good to unpick the sort of team that Scott Parker put out there tonight. And, you know, where we kind of got out of jail tonight was a very profligate Loftus-Cheek, who had a number of good chances.
He did, yeah.
I think Fulham should have had at least one, possibly two goals this evening. So, dare I say it, Parker's probably the slightly more disappointed of the managers on the balance of play, tonight. Albeit he'll be happy with his point, but he'll probably be thinking, with better finishing, particularly from Loftus-Cheek, we should have got all three. But we didn't deserve anything. We didn't work hard enough. We just didn't create enough. And again, I keep coming back to it. What real options did the manager have from the bench? Yeah. And the answer is just not enough. Yeah, we bring on Yarmolenko. Great. You know, I'm thrilled. Yeah, that isn't what Pep Guardiola is going to have as an option on tomorrow afternoon. It isn't what Jurgen Klopp's going to be restricted as an option. If you look at what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's got as an option tonight for Man United, you know, the clubs in and around us at the minute have all got much better bench options to change a game.
Yep.
And when we're all staring at David Moyes' team when we finish probably 6th or 7th this season, and having exited the cup probably on Tuesday night, I hope people aren't too harsh on David Moyes, hopefully they'll think back that actually there was a 30-day period quite recently when the chairman could have done something for the manager. And all he did was shift a player the manager clearly doesn't like in Seb Haller.
Yeah.
And who could disagree with the manager's opinion there? Shift a player that was aging that we could get a small fee for, in Robert Snodgrass. Get an on-loan player from Manchester United who sparkled on his debut but was completely anonymous tonight. And we're just out of bodies. And how often do we see it? You know, it's the first week of February and we've run out of players. That's it.
And we knew it was coming, didn't we, as well? That's the annoying factor. It's not, you know, it was so obvious it was going to happen at some stage. But there you go. The club decided that David Moyes had enough to see him through for the season. And, you know, what will be, will be. And as a result of that, I'm sure they'll get lots of criticism. And rightly so, many would, of course, say. We're going to wrap up very shortly because it is a Saturday night and, quite frankly, I'm starving. I could do with some dinner. So we're going to wrap it up. Just looking ahead at the fixture list, Gnome, it's some tough games coming up. We're back in that tricky spell now, aren't we? You know, we've got the Sheffield United game coming up next in the Premier League, but you know, we've got the cup trip to Manchester United on Tuesday. Then it's Tottenham, then Man City, Leeds at home, then Manchester United and Arsenal. Going to be a very tricky little run of fixtures, and not the kind of games you want to go into without your full strength team or squad in. Are you with us? No more. Are you on an interview?
I am. I've
okay.
been having some techie problems.
Okay.
Yeah, Pinky was cutting out a fair bit, and everyone was sort of freezing.
Okay.
And I don't know if you want to just give it another maybe 3 minutes or so, because Sky Sports News have got the highlights. The sort of goal efforts, etc., which suggests that we might see something from the managers through shortly.
Well, what I can tell you,
everything froze, and so I thought.
Okay. Well, what I can tell you, Gnome, is that David Moyes has given his interview, so hopefully that will be coming up very shortly. And what I can tell you, he said, only a very small snippet, but David Moyes has come out and said that he's embarrassed for the people that made that decision, obviously referring to the dismissal of Thomas Souček. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot more to come.
Sorry, can you repeat that again? You're cutting out, mate. So my end probably, but.
Okay.
Do you want to repeat what you just said there? Because I
don't know if anyone else.
Maybe
it's mine, but David Moyes stating that he was embarrassed for the people that made that decision in reference to the dismissal of Souček. So hopefully we'll get that from that interview, for the full interview from Moyes before we go. As I said, we are going to wrap it up very, very soon. But just very quickly, looking ahead to Manchester United Rio, we were kind of looking forward to this one, weren't we? It was going to be a big test of two very informed sides. Looks like it's going to be a very tough night for West Ham now.
Yeah, we're really short on numbers. I don't know if Souček's card can be appealed and he might be available while that decision gets looked at.
Yeah.
But in the middle, you're obviously looking at Mark Noble to come in, really play that holding role in the middle. Up front, Mikel looks nowhere near available. Obviously, Jesse Lingard can't play. So, yeah, we're struggling for numbers a bit. So you'd expect Fornell to come in and start. The worrying thing for me is that out of all our attacking options today, none of them looked to the races, and they all looked incredibly tired and out of form. Complete polar opposite to midweek.
Yeah.
So that's the worry. But, no one expected us to be where we are at the moment. No one expected us to even have a sniff at what we've achieved before the season started. Let's hope we've just blown the cobwebs out of a poor performance tonight. That's blown out the cobwebs of what we've had. Move on. Let's give it a go. Let's go up to Old Trafford. We're short of numbers, but we've triumphed in the face of adversity in the past.
Yep.
Why not do it again?
Nothing to lose.
And we certainly own Manchester United one. Exactly. No, we could even give the youngster a run out, who I believe is an ex-Manchester United academy player. So I think he might like to potentially get a run out and ruffle the few feathers if he possibly can. That'd be a nice little furry story, wouldn't it? And we want to add to the long list of things that happened this year that we never expected to happen. So yeah, come on, let's have it. We own one after the last time in the cup up there. We own one after the league performance early in the season where we absolutely battled them for 45 minutes, then had another awful VAR decision where the ball went miles out of play but wasn't given. Yeah. So come on, West Ham, let's turn around and stick the two fingers up at football and come back and prove people wrong.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Rio. Gnome, I'll come to you in just a second. We'll end with David comments his thoughts. Quickly before we do that, just have a quick word from Pinky about Manchester United. I love what Rio's saying there. Let's go up there, give it a go. What have we got to lose?
Yeah, I mean, I get all that, but just I'll say I'm a bit for the travelling supporter here. If this wasn't a COVID year, we'd have probably 5,000 or 6,000 supporters heading up to Old Trafford. So that's 4,500 of us phoning in sick, for the afternoon and the following day, all of that sort of shenanigans. And we'd be going up there thinking, can we even get 11 players on the field? So whilst we can all put the brave face in it now and say, give it a go, what have we got to lose and all the rest of it? Real supporters would have been spending real money, taking real time off work to go and support the team, knowing that mission difficult was approaching mission impossible, purely because we're running out of players and purely because Mike Dean has decided that actually, he wants us to, he wants David Moyes to have to change his starting 11 if the red card isn't overturned.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we've got no chance, because you know what? There's always a chance. But Manchester United, they're above us in the league table at the minute. So it was always going to be a difficult game. They've got a much greater depth in their squad. The decision now is probably on Solskjaer. Does he need to put out a full strength team against what he knows is a weaker West Ham United setup?
Yeah.
So I think maybe our best chance on Tuesday will be if Solskjaer decides to rest some of his players. I can't see him doing it, if I'm honest with you, because do you know what? He probably wants to put a trophy in the cabinet sometime soon. So I think Tuesday, damage limitation, if I'm being honest, in my heart of hearts. Yeah, I'd love for us to go all guns blazing and, remember the night at Old Trafford we did this when we only had 3 fit players. Sorry, I didn't believe fairy tales as a kid, and I don't believe them as a grown-up. I think that's a probable likely defeat.
Okay. We shall see. Of course, we will be back here on Tuesday night from around 7 p.m. For Manchester United versus West Ham United. The two Uniteds clashing yet again in the FA Cup, and there's been some big matches over the years, going right back to 1964 when we put them out of the cup in the semi-final in the mud at Hillsborough, and of course, who can forget 2001 with Paolo Di Canio sending 9,000 happy hammers wild behind that goal with the Fabian Barthez goal. Let's all do the Barthez, of course. We are going to wrap up tonight with David Moyes' comments, and these, I'm sure, Gnome, are going to be very controversial and probably get David Moyes in a bit of trouble. But what did the boss have to say? Clearly not happy, very annoyed with a justification after what he saw tonight.
I was remarkably restrained under the circumstances. The comment was that he felt embarrassed for anybody who actually thought that was a sending off offence. It's clearly accidental, and that's the way the game's going. He said, whether it be on the pitch or VAR, he was embarrassed for ever thought that was a red card. Slightly worryingly, he was asked if they were going to appeal, and he was a bit pessimistic. He said, well, you rarely get an appeal upheld these days. They always find a reason, don't they? Which is sometimes true.
Mm.
I'd stick the appeal in, mate. It's Dean. He's got previous,
Yeah.
and I don't think there's anybody in football other than Dean and whoever it was at VAR. I think you suggested it was Lee Mason, which is somewhere a village is missing its idiot. Only those two people in football anywhere have said that's a red card. And if you don't appeal that, then somebody should be shot because, that's a rescind waiting to happen. But it wasn't the full interview that we might have expected, so I didn't really get to comment about the game. But
okay,
the ramifications of the red card, he said, were massive for us. He didn't, it was too short. They didn't talk about Antonio, so we've got no news on him.
Okay, and quickly,
one thing he did say, or one thing the interviewer did say, which I don't think we picked up on though, is that Mitrovic told the referee it was accidental.
Yeah, apparently so. Yeah. Yeah, and
So,
Dean ignored what he said. Apparently, yes, I've read that on Twitter while we've been chatting. Yeah, bizarre.
The evidence is there. Appeal, David. Appeal.
Yeah, stick it in and see what happens. Gnome, very finally, your views on Tuesday night's trip to Manchester United. Do we stand a chance?
Yeah, cup game. All bets are off with cup games. Wouldn't it be typical? We struggle against Fulham and don't play very well against Fulham and come away somehow with a 0-0 draw, and then go to Old Trafford and give them a walloping somehow. How West Ham would that be? Yeah, I've got fed. Get the appeal in, get Souček playing. I'm fairly optimistic. We saw nothing when we played them earlier on in this season to be particularly worried about. I didn't think. I mean, I thought a bit fortunate. They played better second half, but I thought we were worth a point in that game purely on the first half alone. So, yeah, why not? It's a cup game. You've got extra time and penalties. It's decided on the night. So,
give it a go. Give it a go. I just quickly before we finish, I'm just wondering about that appeal. I mean, I this is a gospel, and I don't know if this is the fact, but I would assume that if the club put in an appeal on Monday, there's clearly little chance of that being heard by Tuesday afternoon, and therefore you would expect.
No, it's fairly quickly. It's fairly quickly.
Within 24 hours, that quick?
Bednarik. The game happened on the Wednesday. Was it Wednesday? Same night as us?
I
think they heard that the appeal was granted the next day.
Okay.
Was it Wednesday or Thursday when they played?
I'm not sure now.
It might have been Thursday.
Yeah. I can tell you if you can bear with me for a few seconds.
Thursday. By yesterday. Yeah.
So, well, okay, that changes the goalpost a little bit then, and good for West Ham. I was going to suggest that if the appeal goes in, you would expect while the appeal is outstanding that the player can play. So, the game was Tuesday actually. No, the Man U game. So
yeah, I mean
maybe 48 hours.
Yeah, it doesn't take that long. You get a decision very, very quickly. What it is, they have a panel of people normally working at Wembley, obviously, but not at the moment. But who will look at it, and if they sit and they say, it's a shocker, then that's what happens. If they get the appeal in, I mean, it'll have to go in. I guess they might email it in or something tomorrow or whenever, but it will be looked at. It'll be first thing Monday morning, and it's not a case if you've got to bring people together. It's all done from home anyway at the moment. So we'll know by Tuesday at the latest.
You would imagine, given the furore that this appears to have created, that there's going to be a lot of pressure on the Premier League to overturn it. So fingers crossed. Anyway, we shall see what happens, and of course hope that Thomas, as Rio rightly pointed out there earlier, never ever been sent off before in his professional career, and for a central midfielder, of his size.
If it was going to happen to him, it was only ever going to be one ref, wasn't it?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, it would, wouldn't it? But there it is. I mean, it has ended. Fulham 0, West Ham United 0. Disappointing from many aspects for West Ham. The red card to Thomas Souček, obviously, you know, we're all fuming about that, and as is everybody associated with West Ham United. No more, I would expect, than the player and his manager themselves. Huge disappointment. And again, we wait to see just how damaging this one is. But Michail Antonio left the pitch early, clutching his troubled hamstring. So, you know, we'll have to wait and see how damaging that is. But of course, on the flip side, West Ham are still 5th in the Premier League. We are still the best team in London, above Chelsea, above Tottenham, above Arsenal, above anyone else, any other London club. And here we are, 23 games into the season. Could be a lot worse. Could be a lot worse. And of course, we were the closest to winning the game. Let's not forget that tonight. Soufal's header against the bar from Declan Rice's cross in the 64th minute, inches away from being the match winner. So, you know, I guess it could be a lot worse, couldn't it? But as for now, that is it from us. My thanks going to the rest of the team, to the Pink Palermo, to Rio, to Gnome, and of course to everybody watching us, joining us on the live stream tonight. We obviously grateful for all your for your company tonight. And that's it. It's to Manchester we go. Echoes of Budgie Byrne and Jeff Hurst and Paolo Di Canio and that French bloke who done the dirty on us a few years ago. Who knows? Could it be another Manchester miracle? Here's hoping. We'll see you all again on Tuesday night. Till then, come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.